This is Ariana Rollins, and you're listening to Mindful Manifesting Podcast, the show where it takes the best of manifesting tips and SMART goals so you can set and accomplish your most meaningful intentions. So glad you're here. So how do we connect with something that's really important, but we're almost scared to bring it out into the light of day? That's exactly what we're talking about today. Dreams. Are your dreams still valid? But before we do that, if you would like someone's eyes and ears on your intentions, your manifesting objectives, book an Unstoppable Success Discovery Call with me. Show notes contains the link. Can't wait to help you and empower you. All right. Sometimes we have a longing, something that it may have been from when we were in our 20s, our 30s. It was a fleeting thought, but it never went away. Maybe you wrote it down on a wish list. I love wish lists. In a moment of positivity and excitement. Then perhaps you forgot about it, or maybe it was in a journal and you didn't review it or revisit it, let alone plan it out. Well, in this episode, I want to talk about dusting your dreams off and clearing out outdated ones. So important. And then we'll energize the ones that are still valid and exciting for you. So we're going to go through 5 steps to kickstart your dream, and we'll go into a bit more detail. So if you are near a place where you can get some paper and a pen or a journal, I invite you to do that. As always on the podcast, they're practical, they're exercises, and I know you're probably listening to it while you're driving or while I listen to podcasts is working out. So one of the things I do is I'll pause the podcast and I'll make a note within my Apple phone notes or an audio memo, and I also will text message myself an insight. So if that helps, great. Okay, so here are the 5 steps, and we will go through them in detail. 1, reflect on those dreams that just won't go away. They keep niggling. 2, reflect on the energy of the dreams you've been trying to bring into reality. And then 3, you're going to prioritize. I don't like really that word, but it's really pulling out the ones that are still really relevant. Because you know what? We go through ages and stages of life. So relevancy is important. 4, pick the one that energizes you, the one where you get real excitement, that little kid excitement. And then 5, we'll create an imaginary experience and anchor it in your heart. And maybe we'll even get insight into your first step, your first action to take. Okay, let's go into details. So if you have, and I know this is relevant for me, and maybe if you've been listening to the show for a while, you know that I used to live in England in my 20s, and I loved it. It was, I would say, my favorite place to live. The weather suited me. I lived in Windsor, right a mile from Windsor Castle. I could run down the long walk, and I really didn't need a car. I could walk to the shops, amazing restaurants. I could walk to the gym where I worked out. And life was really balanced, and I curated a life that was like perfect for me. So for anyone who knows me, that dream of moving back to England bounces around and kind of pushes itself to the front of my awareness. And it's a niggling dream that just won't go away. So the other day, and it's actually what kind of inspired this podcast, I was thinking, do you really want to move back to England, Ariana? Do you? So as I thought more, yes, do I want the experience? No question. But then my practical mind, my more wise mind, my older mind, mature mind, whatever you want to say, says, whoa, England's going through a tough time right now. I know a lot of places are going through tough times. And Austin, Texas has been good for you and good to you. So is that my conscious mind vetoing that dream? No, it's the timing's not right. So let's talk about ages and stages. When I first moved to Austin in 2017 from San Diego, one of the things that I was so overjoyed about, and I was like, it was new, it was different, is that the young people I met, and Austin's a young town. I think the average age is like mid-30s, and I lived in Carlsbad, California, which is North County, San Diego. I would say the average age was probably retirement, maybe late 50s, 60s. It's an older community. So I loved the vibrant energy. I can connect with young people really well. I love them because I guess maybe they haven't been jaded by disappointments of life and things that have failed. So I'm in love with Austin. I'm doing all these meetup events. And I remember one in particular. It was, I can't remember the name, but it was around like conscious communicating and intimacy, like deep conversations. I said, oh, it's right up my alley. I'm going. So we were broken off into little pods of like 6 people each. And we were to give someone a reflection of how they turned up for us, what our perceptions were. And I remember this young guy said, middle-aged woman. Yes, of course I was, but I didn't think of myself like that. And so my big bubble of, oh, I'm not young anymore happened. And it was really interesting because I had no sense of age previous to that experience. So it doesn't invalidate the youthfulness of Austin, but it did make me aware, and I was thinking about it this week, is that it's really not about ages. So middle-aged woman sounds terrible, very, when the first time you hear it. But really, it's about stages. And when I thought about life in stages, I completely relaxed. I didn't focus on my age, not that I really paid attention to it, or the wrinkles on my face or whatever. Stages. So there's a stage of education, building a foundation, finding your way in the world, how to make a living. And then there's a stage, if we go into it, is picking a partner, maybe having children. And then there's a stage of like growing financial security or wealth. I'm making this up. There aren't real stages like this. And then there's one where, okay, yeah, I've been working my whole entire life. Now I kind of want to take a break. Unless you're an entrepreneur, then you can't even imagine stopping. I'm talking about the conventional people who are working. And I don't blame them. I mean, I know that if you're working your heart out at something that is not aligned and that you're doing it just for a paycheck, it's soul destroying. It's really hard. And I don't dismiss that. There's a lot of pain there. So, a person's getting to about the stage of life that, where do I want to retire? Do I want to still live here? Is something else I want to do? And then they're in full-on stage of, don't need to work anymore. I've planned my life really well. I've got a good nest egg, and I can, quote unquote, retire. Then I would say the next stage is, retirement sucks. I want to do something. I want to give back. I don't like this idea of just hanging out and not having a purpose, or not purpose, but something to wake up to besides your dog needing to go out to pee. So there's stages, okay? So we go back to step 1. Boy, it's going to be a long one. The 5 steps to kickstart your dream is reflect on what dreams are still niggling you. And is it the same stage that you're in? Is it relevant, okay? Second one. So if you wrote this down, that would be great. I'd like you to reflect on, when did you put that dream in place? So like I said, stages. So for me, I left England when I was 29, and I always had this wish, the desire, knowing that I was going to move back, okay? So now I won't tell you exactly how old I am, but I've been holding that dream for a long time. And sometimes it like pushes itself to the front and center, and I revisit it. So step 2 is reflect on when you put that dream into motion. Was it recently or in your 30s? Ask, is it still something important? Is it still something I want? Ask that before you scratch it off as being irrelevant or impossible. I don't deal in impossible. I think that anything where your mind and heart and and soul and spirit is aligned, you are unstoppable, and it will happen. So if you're ready to scratch it off, express gratitude for the joy it brought you. Maybe you loved thinking about it and daydreaming, but it's like, no, I'm not in that stage anymore. I'm good. Yeah. Okay. And then third step, focus on the rest. So you wrote down, reflected on those dreams that keep niggling around. Maybe they're recent, maybe they're older, and older is great. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to create a little short movie. Maybe you want to learn how to paint. Maybe you want to learn an instrument or a language, or maybe you want to move. Maybe you want to move countries, or maybe you want to move states. Whatever it is, it's something that when you think about it, it's like, ooh, that kind of, that childlike energy that you feel, maybe butterflies in your belly. Okay, so focus on the rest. Ask yourself, how important is this? And this is where, if you've been listening to the podcast at all, I do a lot of rating, 1 to 10 scale. 10 being really important, really meaningful. 1, not at all. And there's not going to be any 1s on there. We've already scrubbed your list. And the question I'm going to ask, because I am all about the practical too. Yes, it may seem that I'm out there with imaginary experiences, but that's not where I land. That's not where we end. In this podcast and everything I do in my work is bringing the intangible into practical steps. So how do you get there? Okay, so ask a question to yourself. Am I willing to give energy to bring this dream into reality? Am I willing to give energy? So what do I mean by that? Well, if there's something important like learning a language, and maybe you have a routine in your evening, you get home from work, or you stop work if you work from home, and you make dinner, you clean up the dishes, take the dog for a walk, and then your evening's free. Maybe this is 7 o'clock, 7:30. Do you have the energy? Are you willing to put energy in going to a night class, learning a language? Be realistic. What in your life would you need to either put on the back burner or change your routine, change your habits, change how your day flows to squeeze that in? This is where most manifesting guidance out there falls short. It's not looking at, okay, I've got a routine here. Yep, and this is what I do when I wake up in the morning, and what I do at work, and what I do when I get home. And there's a momentum. Your body, as the storehouse of your unconscious mind, storing all your thoughts, feelings, experience, routines, habits, patterns, everything, it's got momentum. It knows the very next thing you're going to do. Kind of like living with a dog. The dog knows, okay, we're going for a walk. I'm going to get my dinner, right? And if you're going to shift that machine, which is your body really is this amazing machine, if you're going to shift course, how are you going to do that? How are you going to inform it that now, instead of at 7:30, we're going to watch our favorite show or pick a movie, or we're going to read a book, to now we're going to get in the car, whether it's cold, hot, or whatever, we're going to drive across town and we're going to take that lesson, we're going to take that class, learn a new language. Okay? How are you going to train it? Well, for most people, they love the intention setting. For most people, that dreaming part is where they stay. And I'm not criticizing it at all. Believe me, I have been there quite a few times in my life, just really feeling my dreams and feeling the excitement of what it's going to be like when I accomplish that or embody that or make that change. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with that, because remember at the beginning of the podcast, I said what we do here is take the best of manifesting tips and SMART goals, and we combine it. So are you willing to let something go? Are you willing to maybe capture and create a little bit more energy? Get up a little earlier. I'm not suggesting you do that unless you want to. Maybe start meditating. My favorites are Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations. Boy, do I get energy and focus for my day. I love it. So let's look at practically. Because if you're not, then it might not be a 10 for you in desirability. And that's okay. That's okay. But maybe there is one there. Let me give another example. This is a great one. Okay, now we'll go on to step 4 and then I'll give the example. So you're going to pick one that energizes you. You've got the clarity, you've got the excitement, you're willing to put some energy and time into it. And maybe you've decided, I've been, out of the dating market for years. I've been in a relationship for years. I really want to be in a relationship. Not for what the person's going to give me, but I love being loving and nurturing. And I would love to pour love on someone, as an example. Okay. So you're going to some steps. Maybe it's online dating. Maybe it's hiring a dating coach. Maybe it's, I don't know. You don't need to put a lot of things in front of you when you're talking about dreams, because the dream is going to inspire, and when you're connected and aligned, the steps are going to come. Okay, but maybe you do have one, like I've got to get in shape before I take pictures. I think you don't really need to, but because here's something, ladies, if you're listening to this, I have learned in my more mature age is that a lot of men are not attracted to skinny women. I can't believe I just learned that. My whole life I thought that's what was attractive. But no, it was attractive for the fashion industry, which is mostly run by men who are into other men. So, having someone to cuddle with who's not bony at night, and there's a little bit of padding, that's super attractive to the majority of men. Go figure. I never knew that. Okay. So consider that maybe you don't need to get in shape. Maybe you are in shape. Being healthy, that's a different story. I think everyone being healthy is super important. I think I'm going to do a podcast on that because I have extraordinary health. I'm aware of it. I don't take it for granted. And I am noticing a lot of people don't have that. So manifesting health is super important. We're going to do a podcast just on that one. Okay. So pick the one that energizes you. You've got the excitement, maybe butterflies in your belly, and you're willing to put some energy into it. Can you imagine it happening? Maybe close your eyes. Please don't do this if you're driving. Can you feel it happening? Is it real? Like you're on a date and that person's feeling connected to you, you're feeling connected to them, and then now you're dating for months? Actually, I'm sorry. Let me back up. When I guide you to create an imaginary experience, a moment in time, it's not a whole year. So let's say, what will energize you most? That you've been dating for 3 months and now it's feeling really connected. Imagine that one. Or if it makes you feel more comfortable, imagine enjoying your first date. Okay, whatever it is, you don't want nervousness to get in here. Otherwise, you're intending too big or too fast. Super important. Okay, that's step 4. All right. Step 5, surround that imaginary experience of your dream unfolding and place it in your heart. And I'm going to give you, if you can do this, you'd close your eyes. Don't do it while you're driving. Place that in your heart, and I will make the request. It's kind of like a little prayer in a way. This is an example of what I would like to create, cause, unfold in ways that are the highest good of me and of all involved, in right time and in right action. Breathe it in and out of your body. Feel that dream anchoring in your heart, because if you don't get it into your body, if your unconscious mind doesn't know what you want and you haven't informed it, we are making a shift in direction. And if you don't have a way of doing that, it's going to go business as usual. It's just you're going to follow your routines. Nothing wrong with that, but you're trying to make a shift. And that shift needs to get your body trained, which is why I love the Highest Potential program. Someone gets me for 6 months with them, intimately helping them nurture that dream or make that change, whether it's getting to really vibrant health or maybe just getting energy. That's okay. That's a great first step. Or it's starting to date, or it's getting married, or it's growing income if you're self-employed, or getting a better job. It's all down to you. And I nurture each participant through that journey of 6 months. It's fantastic. And if you have interest, I'll put the link in the show notes. We start in January. What a brilliant time to start. to really infuse life and energy into your dream. Okay, so step 5, not done yet. So focus on your heart, take a cleansing breath, exhale, imagine that dream, feel it, that first scene happening, and just focus on your heart and ask, what's the first step? What's the first natural step to bring this into reality, bring this intention into reality? What's the first natural step? You might let's go back to the dating example, get some pictures taken. Not a big deal. Get your friend with your phone, take some pictures, crop it. I don't suggest photoshopping because, I don't know, you want someone to meet the real you, but you can do as you wish. Okay, maybe that's the first one and you're excited. Okay, all right, then take action. Don't let your dream get pushed into the background another day. It's too important, my friends. It's too important. When we are 70, 80, 90, however old we're going to be when we pass, it's these niggling dreams that we didn't risk to bring into reality. It's going to really weigh on our heart. If you're listening to this podcast, you've got time. Do it now. All right. I really enjoyed spending time with you. Thank you so much for listening. And as we wrap up, if you would love some support, some eyes and ears on your intentions, maybe help picking that one and infusing it and then figuring out your next step, book your Unstoppable Success Discovery Call with me. It's completely free, and then we'll explore if we're a good fit to work together. I'd love to talk to you. Okay, so thanks for listening, and remember, as you confirm yourself, you chart your own path to success. So much love.